All right, testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3. Are we live? Are we live? Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3. Perfect. All right, all right, y'all. Welcome back. We have completed another 100 miles. That's why we're back here for the next episode, number 2 of Prophetic with Raj Brahmbhatt. These last 100 miles have really tested me. I fell ill a while back and I was still trying to get it. I was only able to do 10 and a half miles at one point. Then I got up to 19.07. And my most recent attempt, I was able to complete 33.55 miles. So far, we have a grand total of 204.98 miles over 43 days. If I take the average of my 7 attempts, I'm running just about, I think, 29.28 miles each attempt. That's my average, which is roughly over a marathon, like 3 miles over a marathon. So my average is, I guess, decent, but I'm trying to do a lot better. My personal record for attempting to run 100 miles is 41.96 miles. This week, I hope that I can try to surpass that. Again, I'm going to be on a treadmill. It's a little different being indoors. Being outdoors, you can you can see different things, and with seeing different things, your mind tends to not have to stay put on one like surrounding. So that kind of like helps stimulate the mind, I believe. Being indoors, you're like looking at the same thing. Your setting is the same. You're moving in the same place. You're not really moving around. I mean, you are moving, but you're not really moving around like A to B. You're just moving. You're staying at A, but continuously moving, which it does have an impact on the mental. It does have an impact on, I'd say, like my spirit sometimes, because I'm trying to push through it, even though it's a little different with compared to being outdoors. With inside on the treadmill, I'm actually able to pace myself a little differently, which is good and bad in a sense. It's good because I'm able to pace myself. I'm staying on track to a certain time that I set myself to. But again, it's also a negative because sometimes your energy levels might fluctuate, and you might be able to go a little faster at a certain time and then slow down while still keeping the same amount of pace. But on the treadmill, obviously, I can't do that. I have to manually adjust that, and I'm lazy, so I don't like to do all that anyway. But nevertheless, all those excuses, I need to do better. I think this Friday, which is in less than 10 hours, I'm gonna start at midnight again. I hope to beat my personal record. Every time I'm doing this, I'm basically like giving everything I got, or what I think I have. I'm trying to like literally give every ounce of energy that I have to trying to get 100 miles. It's a lot harder than I thought. It's not impossible, but it's definitely difficult. And with that, I like the fact that I'm able to try to keep on progressing. The first attempt I had was around 28, a little bit above 28 miles. Then I increased that to, I got to the 30 plus. Then I got to 37 miles. Then I got to 40 miles. Then I dropped all the way down to, less than 10 and a half. Then I increased that back up to 19. And now I got up to, what's it called? 33 again. So now I'm back in the 30s, and now I got to go back to the 40s and level up. So that's what it is. The whole point is to level up, to continue on and progressing and push further than the limits that you thought you had in your mind. I think this is a really great mental exercise for me, at least, because not only am I able to push myself, but I'm also doing this to raise money for families, children, schools, organizations that are helping out people in the communities that need help the most. COVID's going on right now. The election's going on right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen, how stimulus packages are going to go, this and that. Everything's going on. People are really hurting right now, and I'm just trying to do a little bit that I can to help those that are seeking help that the government's not helping in the time being. So with elections coming up, I wanted to talk a little bit about voting. Now, I'll get to this first. Before I state what I would like to say, just know that I do believe that everyone should vote. I believe if you have the ability to vote, you should take that opportunity. I understand that the history behind voting is a lot of people sacrifice time, energy, even their lives to do this. Women, men, men and women of color. So I understand the importance of voting, and I understand it is our right, our privilege to do so. With that, America is one of the best countries in the world that you can literally do whatever you want. So you can vote, you cannot vote. But what I don't understand is the complaining of how the surrounding is when you had an opportunity to have some input but chose not to. So for those people that or are questioning whether to vote because it has some type of impact or not, I would urge you to go ahead and just vote regardless. Now there's this group of people that I think are more similar to me that don't care about who the next president will be because of what we have learned throughout history. What I've learned is it doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter whether it's a white man in office or a black man in office. It doesn't matter if it's a male or female. What has been prevalent in society is the pattern that's still been the same. Again, it doesn't matter what party's in charge. People are still dying in the streets by people that are supposed to protect them. The idea of racism is not something that can just overnight go away. You have people that do feel more superior over others or feel that your life is less valuable than others based off of some type of physical trait that you have, maybe the color of your skin, and maybe, mostly it's the color of your skin. Maybe it's the color of your skin, maybe it's the texture of your hair, maybe it's the width of your nose, maybe it's your lips, maybe it's your accent, maybe whatever it is. People tend to deem others that they are not themselves. People tend to deem others that are different from themselves of less value. And that idea of thinking that you are more superior than another being, that's a little bit harder to change versus the laws, versus giving people more opportunities, all that. The idea will eventually, in my opinion, cease to exist as generations progress forward. Racism becomes less and less and less prevalent. Obviously, those ideas will pass on to other people, through their kids. If your parents are racist, you probably might have a little bit of racism in you, and so on and so forth. But then again, it's also the opposite effect. If your parents are racist or, prejudiced towards certain groups of people, you might not agree with that. And then that's you becoming less racist and passing on to the next generation. And you might be passing on the information of, hey, be open-minded to everybody. Regardless of that, getting back to the election and trying to vote, my personal stance is, as an American, I'm blessed to be able to be in this country, but I don't personally vote because what I've been taught and what my father has taught me is like, hey, it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter if the economy is up or down. We're still trying to get this money. So regardless of who you think needs to be in charge of the country is going to move on as it has been throughout time. Like I said, it didn't matter if it was a Democrat party or Republican party in charge. We have still seen police brutality over the years. You have to really understand the nature of the police and why it was founded. If you go throughout history and you really do your research, you can understand like why the police became to be. And then if you understand the reason of why it became to be, you can understand why it is the way that it is. You have to go back in time, look throughout your history to understand why you are where you are. We see, and this nation is great for what it is, but it's also built on a lot of discrimination, a lot of racism, and that's still towards this day. A lot of prejudice. Doesn't matter if it's towards people of melanin, but it's also towards people of different religions. And what I grew up thinking in America is that America's land of opportunity. Whatever you want to do, you can do it here. This is the greatest country in the world. I still believe that. I believe that you have the opportunity to go from poverty to riches not overnight, but throughout your journey, if you're willing to sacrifice, if you're willing to put in the work, the energy, and whatever your goals are, you can acquire them, I believe. And in regardless of where you are, but in the United States especially, this country allows you to do so much. And even if you wanted to start your own business, the ethics we have here and the way that you can go about to create a company by yourself online with the technology that is available, by putting yourself out there on the internet to brand yourself or start your own service or product or whatever, you can do all of this the best in the United States. This is the land, like I truly believe, the land of the free. So regardless of how the problems, the issues that we have in the internals of the United States versus the externals of the foreign policies that we have, the internals, we do lack a lot. We do have, insufficient infrastructure. We do have a large population of people that are, getting further and further away from the top 1%. And then I feel like the idea is the reason why we don't, progress as inflation progresses is because we're not financially educated. We don't know the value of money. We don't know how it's created. We don't know how it's used. We do appreciate these programs that we have, but again, at the same time, we don't understand what's funding it. How is it being funded? And I feel like some people just should take interest in it, and other people. That's why we designed the system, to have other people take care of make decisions for us that we would personally not have the time to even look in for information towards. So for those people that are not even interested in how the country moves in what direction, because you feel that it's not going to affect you regardless, because you're still poor. You've been poor whether it was a Democrat or Republican in charge. It's always been tough times, whether it was, again, a Democrat, Republican in charge. Things haven't really changed. And I understand that. That's why a lot of people wouldn't want to vote, whether they think it doesn't really matter. For me, it's not that I don't want to vote. It's more so that I withhold my vote because I don't personally believe in either of these two candidates as leaders. You can feel however you feel about it. But my personal opinion is I personally don't think that either of these two individuals are qualified or even good enough to run the country and be in charge of the largest military in the world and be the leader of the greatest nation in the world. That's just my personal opinion. If there was a better candidate, I would probably vote. Even when I was able to vote for Barack Obama's second term, I knew by then, man, it doesn't really matter. I knew that Barack Obama was an inspiration to a lot of us because we saw a lot of ourselves in that image of someone being a president. I always saw white men as presidents, but when I saw Barack Obama, I saw, oh man, this guy's father is from the same place my father's from. So that means I have a chance too. That's how I connected. But the fact that he opened the door was great. But what actually occurred during his presidency, from where I'm from, and my perspective is a lot of my friends were scared because, at that time, deportation was at its highest. People were even thinking about leaving the state of Georgia because there's a lot of people getting deported in Georgia. And I had friends that, had to deal with this personally and everything. So I understand that, we look at someone as a great leader, but then we don't see all the other stuff that's going on. And then same thing with Trump. You can see that a lot of people look up to him because of what he's doing, but then you don't see all the other things that might be affecting people in a negative way. And I just look at it as to be open-minded enough to see that, it's not really what the government does for you, it's what you can do for yourself. And I think JFK said that in a more eloquent way. But I really believe that if you put in your faith into an individual to change your life, then you're not really going to see the change. More so, you want to put your faith into God to give you the strength to make the change within yourself, to allow that change internally to manifest externally. So if you want to do better in life, don't think that President Trump or potential President Biden is going to really make a difference in your life. You got to think of what you can do to really start seeing something different. Because if you want to see something different, you got to do something different. You can't be staying the same. It just doesn't work that way. It's literally crazy if you try to stay the same and expect something to different to occur. And I'm not saying that like failing is something that is equivalent to being the same. So if you're trying, you're failing and continue to fail, the fact that you're trying shows effort. And only you and God know how much effort you're putting into something. If you're putting 100% of your effort, no one can tell you otherwise. But through that failure, you can also learn. From failure is the greatest lessons of life. So it's okay to fail. It's okay to not satisfy yourself because your expectations are so high of yourself or of others, that you need to be okay with like, okay, you didn't get this time. All right, what do I need to do to improve to get the next time? If that's what you truly desire. For me, my goal is to get 100 miles in one day. I have other loftier goals than that, but at this moment, this is one of my goals to accomplish. This is a challenge for myself. Try to achieve 100 miles in a day. Obviously, I haven't been able to so far in 7 attempts. This is going to be my 8th attempt. And some people might get discouraged. It's like, oh man, but I look at it as I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to achieve it. And it's just that I look forward to the feeling of what is it going to feel like to actually run 100 miles in a day? You know, how many people can say that? And I want to be able to be one of those individuals that can say that. And I just went back to that. But, you know, going back to the voting thing, vote if you want to. I urge you to vote if you can. And if you don't care and you have friends that do care, go vote on their behalf, maybe, if that will get you out to vote. Me personally, I'm withholding my vote again because I don't believe in either of these candidates. I think, in my personal opinion, that we need to start looking at younger individuals and not so many older established people like to listen to younger folks due to the fact that of, you know, superiority, inferiority complex thinking, oh, I have more experience, I know better. But what you need to consider is everything that one knows is from a point of here to here. And what time is the present moving forward. So everything you've experienced before does not exist anymore. Yes, experience and history is very crucial, but there's the conscious thought is always adapting, always changing. Technology is always changing as well. And you need to coincide with that. You need to go align with what's going on to progress forward at a more efficient manner. So a lot of these, and now you're seeing that with like, if you're paying attention to any politics or anything, you're seeing that how we're looking at larger technology companies, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Apple, into privacy, and talking more about privacy issues and talking more about how much information should be given to these companies and how much information can be sold from those companies. And, you know, and theft, identity fraud, all this is getting even more prevalent, and it's even more easier as technology expands. So we need to think about things of how we're going to protect ourselves in that manner, and how we're also going to elevate our conscious mind, knowing that there are real issues, bigger issues that are also going to affect not just the present time, but our grandkids if we don't make those decisions at this time. And what I mean by that is, you know, in regards to like global warming, in regards to more extreme weather, I feel like the best way to, you know, not prevent it, but to slow it down, because we've already gone a little bit too far with how much waste we're doing. It's just to think about how we can do renewable energy, something that I feel like we're not number one in. And I feel like in America, man, you got to be number one in everything. Good is not good enough. You know, we got to be the best in education, the best in manufacturing, the best in exporting, the best in everything. But we're not there right now, and I don't believe any of these candidates are going to lead us there. So what I have to do is, I know what the system is. I know that, you know, money is created through the stock market, through real estate, through doing what the government wants you to do, so you don't have to pay as much in taxes. But obviously, that only works if there's a certain amount of employees, and a lot of people are employees of this nation. And these are the people that are suffering the most. You know, we call them essential workers, but these are the people that are essentially at the most risk. And all the higher salary paid individuals are actually able to work at home remotely, stay with their families. So I really feel for all these individuals who are, working jobs that require you to show up or else you don't get paid. I feel for these families that have to do homeschooling for kids because schools are closed, and the families that can't even afford to stay at home with their kids to watch the kids doing their work. Now they have to be at work. So now the children, the next generation of children, are being affected by not being able to truly be educated. And now we might even have a whole generation that is, for some reason, maybe not intellectually capable as previous generations. But maybe that might not be the case due to the fact that we have the internet and we have all this technology and kids can easily access information. So the idea of schooling might change in the future if this is something that is continually going on. Who knows how long this COVID crisis situation might last. I think it's a very interesting time to be alive. I feel like a lot of people are either going to rise up during this time and figure out ways to improve and do better and keep progressing, and some people will find content in this moment and just plateau at this time. Some people might plateau, and that's actually a blessing. What people don't realize is most people look down on people that have plateaued, but I looked at it as a blessing, as you found your limit. You found where you are efficiently satisfied with life. For some people, it's very soon. Some people peak really early. Some people, their best moments in life are maybe in like middle school. That's where they were the happiest, or maybe it was high school, or maybe it was college, or maybe it was their 20s or their 30s or whatever. And to those individuals, more power to you. God bless you. I think that's an amazing feeling to realize that. But for me, what I'm chasing is a little bit different. Maybe it's even more difficult, and I don't think that's a good or bad thing. But I do believe in the constant progression of the individual, and I believe that's only achieved through truly pushing everything of what God has given you. Your physical, so it's using your body every day. It's your mental, of consciously questioning everything all the time in your mind, in life, and trying to find some reason as to why, if that's even a thing. Maybe God is the only reason. But I feel like God has allowed us to allow us to think about other things. And that's the beauty of God, to give us everything, and everything is God. And then next is so after the movement is the mind, and after the mind is the money. I feel like it starts with the movement. Once your movement is good, your mind is on a nice even balanced level. Your body's feeling good, your mind's going to naturally parallel to that. And then once your body and your mind are in sync, I feel like that's when you have no worry about what life will bring. And then the money eventually will come, because now you understand that what's really the true wealth of life is your health, is your being, is your happiness, is your strength within yourself to accomplish anything. The money is just a tool. Once you get those two right, money, you realize it's just something that everyone needs. But how much varies from the individual to the individual. If you're happy with a certain lifestyle, if you're happy with a certain way of living, no one can tell you that you need to do more or do less or give more or whatever, because now you're content. No, it's you're in a place that you're in a place that you can finally go, I don't have to do nothing. Everything is taken care of. And that's when you've reached financial freedom. And I feel like that's when you can get even closer to God, because now you don't have to worry about how am I going to do this or that, how am I going to put food on the table with my family and everything. God provides everything. You need to understand that God provides everything. Never doubt. And that's something that I've learned, later on in life. And again, it's whatever you believe, whatever text you follow. Doesn't matter. As long as you find your relationship with God, whether you go to church or not, you're watching online or not, find your find your relationship with God, and you will find your inner peace. I promise you that. What else did we have to bring up today? Yeah, I think that it's a really interesting time. I'm really finding a lot more information on myself. I'm really discovering myself through through this like 100-mile challenge. Trying to find out ways also to raise more funds, trying to figure out things that I can do, maybe more challenges. And I'm really trying to raise $1 million. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm going to try. Why not? If I can, that'll be great. That'll be a great feeling. But I believe, like, if there's anything you can do in this world, you might as well try to give it 100%. Try to really see, push the limit and see how far you can take this life. Every day is a blessing, man. Every day is a blessing. The fact you get to wake up, and I consider myself to really be blessed due to the fact that, the way that I'm living, I'm good. I'm obviously not the happiest I can be, but I feel like God will bring that in due time. And in my opinion, I feel like happiness is just a privilege. Happiness is a privilege. You got to earn that shit. You know what I'm saying? When you're a kid, it's so easy because you have no expectations on much because you don't know much. So ignorance is bliss in that sense. But when you get older, maybe some of your innocence dies and you see a lot more truth in the world. But I personally feel that I used to have these thoughts of like, do I quit? Not is it not more of it quit? Is it like, was this not right? Or do I never, if I never quit, okay, how am I trying to say this? If I never quit, what is it when I do? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me because I've quit a couple of things in my life, and I battle with thinking like, is there more I could have done? Maybe it wasn't the right time? And and all these doubts start coming in. And that's when I just think, hey, I just put it up to God, and I'm like, okay, God, like, I understand that I am where I am because of you. And I understand that everything I have is because of you. So all that I am is God. All that we are is all God. And if you look at the world in more of a cynical way, you try to think of, why is there some messed up stuff going on? Why do we hurt each other? Why do we find joy in hurting each other? Why is it that we take from others when we already have enough? There's all these gluttony, greed, all these other sins that are out there. And maybe that's what God is. Since God is everything, that is what God is. God is all of that. So if you think like, oh, it's God and the devil, it's like, no, the devil is part of God. You can't have the devil without God. So they're not counteracting beings. It's the idea in itself. The fact that you can have pain, the fact that you can have joy, all that's the same. The fact that you can have happiness and despair is all the same. The fact that you can have confidence and cowardice is all the same. Like, it's truly a dope thing this life is. Like, it's amazing. I don't understand why people wouldn't want to continue living. I used to have those thoughts too, where I used to think, oh man, like, what's the point? After you felt a certain type of ecstasy, you felt the greatest heights of life and love and joy and happiness and belonging and acceptance. After that, it's kind of bliss. It's like, what else is there to it? And I think longevity is what it's about. Longevity. It's about to have that feeling, maybe not for one time for a long time, but maybe small bursts in time, but multiple times. So I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here. I hope that everyone that is able to hear this is also fighting their own battles and finding the strength to overcome, finding the wisdom to know when to rest and recover, and finding the courage to push on even though it hurts. And to those of you who are, doing their thing, getting after it, keep going, keep pushing. And for those of you who are seeking inspiration to do so, find it amongst yourself. Challenge yourself to do something, do anything. One push-up a day. One push-up a day consistently adds up to 365 push-ups a year. What people fail to realize is you don't have to go 200%, once in a while. It's good to go 100% every day if you can. But for some people, there's no judgment. It's just you have to take your time, especially the progression. Like, to get to being able to work out every day, you got to start somewhere. The 100-mile journey starts with one step. And I'm seeing that. Like, I think that I'm pretty fit, but then I see these other people and I'm just like, oh my God, they're pushing the limit even further. They're doing all these different strength exercises and control of the body that I've never even seen before. And I'm just amazed by it. I'm not jealous as like, forget that guy because he can do. No. I look at it more of like, wow, I thought the limit was here, but the limit is actually up here. So I have to work even harder to push to that. And maybe some people don't feel that way, but that's just how I feel. I feel like you really need to change the way that you think, and that the way that you think, if you can change that, it changes like your reality, it changes your perception. You can like just tell yourself, oh, this is okay. It's okay. It's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to be like this. When you start hurting, you start getting that little pain, starts burning a little bit, it's okay. It's supposed to be like this. It's supposed to hurt a little bit. And it's funny that whenever something's really worth it, whenever something is like, it means a lot to you, it hurts when you don't get it, or it hurts to get it, or it hurts when you lose it. Because if it didn't mean nothing, it wouldn't hurt. So maybe things that mean much always have pain and suffering tied to it, because you can't get something that you care for so much if you're not willing to suffer, sacrifice, and take pain for it. And that can go into a lot of different things: exercise, relationships, life goals, education, whether you're studying and you're trying to get into a certain school, or you're going through it with your significant other, or you're competing athletic wise and you're trying to be disciplined enough to strengthen your body every day. Those are a test of time. And I just feel like, man, it's such a dope thing to be alive right now. 2020, like, yo, this is probably the greatest time. And I thank God. I hope everyone is like enjoying the fact that they are alive today. And it can always get worse, but at the same time, it can be better. The world is great right now, but we can always make it better. We can make it cleaner, safer. I don't know about if everything needs to be faster, because I feel like that does take away from the virtue of patience, but more efficient is what I would like to say. If everything becomes more efficient, anything can become more efficient as well. And I don't think there's a limit on efficiency. I feel like you can always get better. And I have hope that regardless of the outcome, there's always a reason behind it. There's some good to it. We might not know it at the time, and it's already written. The winner of the election is already written, if you know what that means. It's all in God's hands. Everything is already predetermined. But at the same time, you have the choice to change yourself if you're willing. God will work with you, man. If you really want something, man, God will work with you. And I've seen it so many times in my life. I've seen it so many times. I wanted to go play college ball. Man, I sent out 500 plus emails to 500 plus different schools. And of those, I actually got 10 offers. That's a 2% chance. That's a 2% chance of going into a college in USA to play college ball. And that's all you need, man. That's all you need. Even if I had a 1% chance, that's all you need is a small percentage. 1%, less than that. You just need a chance, and you can get it. You got to really put in the work though. And everything that I've saw through a pattern of believing something, speaking on it, putting action towards it, and in due time, it will manifest. And I used to think it was me. I was doing all this. I used to think, oh man, I'm the shit. I was the one that I did everything that I've done so far. No, you gotta understand. You gotta take a step back. You gotta give it up to God. God allows you to do so. God has given me the mind that I have to think the thoughts that I have. These are God's thoughts. Everything that you have, everything you thought in your head, whether it's fucked up or not, is God's thoughts. Because He created you to do so, to think, to feel. And a lot of it in life is hard as it is. Just there's so many things that you can get distracted by. So many addictions there are in this world. And that's when you only through 26 years of experience in my life, and I feel like I felt a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things that might be different from other people. Some people have probably experienced way worse things than I have, and I can't even begin to fathom those types of pains. So then that allows me to remind myself, hey, my suffering is nothing. It pales in comparison to what others have suffered, to a lot of what women have suffered. A lot of colored women have suffered. A lot of women in general, a lot of men who have been, brutalized. And that really humbles me to let me know, hey man, it's not that bad. Whatever you're going through, it's not that bad. That pain that you feel, it's not that bad. It could be a lot worse. But as I was saying with the distractions in life, the addictions that there are, it takes you away from what your path is supposed to be. And everyone's path is different. Some paths lead towards artistry. Some paths lead towards manufacturing and building. Some paths lead towards creativity. Some paths lead towards education. Some paths lead towards, whatever your path leads towards is your path. And other people are on the same path as you as well, because they have like minds as you, and they feel the same passion as you. But there are a lot of distractions. And why I keep mentioning distractions, because what I've realized is, it's one thing to let yourself go into another being. It's another thing to just use them as a vessel. So like for me, instance, why I say this is because I have now chosen to go celibate. What I've learned throughout life and love and sex and lust and is all this kind of stuff and self-pleasure and all that stuff is an empty feeling. It's really an empty feeling when it's not with the right intentions. I see that the intention of God is, to be bountiful and to spread the seed, but that's the intention is to make love or to have sex, to procreate. So what I've decided is, since I've just been having all of this, I'm not even going to say all this, but I've been having meaningless interactions that it's not fulfilling or anything like that. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to go celibate. For me, I think it's a lot easier. It's not a rash decision for me, or not something drastic, because for the last year and a half, over a year now, I haven't masturbated. I practiced semen retention. Obviously, throughout the year, I was in a relationship, had sex. I was out of a relationship, had sex, and I saw the energy draining from me. And I decided at some point in the quite recent past that I needed to conserve this energy, conserve this the seed that I have, which is God's power, and only use it for when it is what is properly meant to be used for. I'm not saying, hey, don't have sex to enjoy it. I'm just saying, I personally believe at this point in my life that I would only have sex to procreate. And I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying, for me at least, that's how I feel. I know some people might feel the same way. Some people might differ, but it's pretty good feeling, man. Like, the idea of celibacy is not just to not have sex, but it's the idea of having purer thoughts. So my thoughts have become a lot more, or at least I would say less inappropriate. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, obviously my human nature is still there where I'm still thinking about that kind of stuff, but it's been limited and less and less and less every day to a point where some days I don't even have to think about sex. I don't think about those type of urges. I don't have those urges. And I've gotten a lot of peace of mind from that. And I look at it like, okay, it's just another discipline for myself to have. If you believe in something, then you really just fully immerse yourself, just fully dive into it. And for me, I'm a very extreme person, so that's exactly how it fits perfectly with my character and my being. So I just decided, October 1st, I guess, was the first day that I was just, okay, you know what, man, we're not even gonna put no energy towards finding women or trying to flirt with women or anything like this, like that. And just when God provides, God will provide. And whenever the time is right, I want to kind of do it right. So whenever the time is right, if there is a right time or not, but whenever God provides, things will pan out how they're supposed to be. Right now, I don't want to distract myself. As I was bringing up distractions, I don't want to distract myself with these type of thoughts, these type of urges. It's not really doing me nothing. Like, sex is great. Hell yeah, it's great. But again, like, when you're having sex with people that you're just having sex to have sex, like, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird. Like, it's not weird. Sex is great, but it's weird. Like, the feelings afterwards, like, okay. And we just move on and we just on to the next type thing, like, or you just hit me up when you need it, and yeah, like, I think everything gets played out eventually. And I realized, like, like, I see, man, when you have a connection with somebody, that shit is dope. So all this, like, you got to be out there, get as many women as you can. That's cool. But I think all these things are like phases. It's all phases. You're eventually going to want to settle down and stuff like that. And I'm only 26, so it's like leaving the party early. But I do see that in my future, whether it happens, whenever it happens, it's going to happen if it happens. But whatever the outcome is, I'm indifferent to it. I accept all that is. And that's what God, and through God, I'm able to. Whatever the outcome is, you accept it as reality, and you move forward as so, and you move accordingly. So I know the systems in the game. I try to play the game as best I can. Right now, I'm out the game. I'm not trying to do nothing. But it's a good feeling for me. I feel good about it. That's just something I wanted to share. If you're thinking about celibacy and wait until like marriage and all that kind of stuff, go for it. I know I met some women that are on that. They're waiting for the right person. Whatever. Me, it's more so like I'm waiting for whenever I'm ready to have a kid. Whenever that person is also ready to have a kid, this one will have a kid. I'm not saying you have to have kids in life to be fulfilled, but I do see a lot of joy that people have when they do see themselves in others, and not just in your significant other, but also like in your seed and in your children. You see yourselves and you see also your significant other in your children. Oh man, that must be like a crazy feeling. I don't know what it's like because I don't have kids, but I can imagine like what my parents feel. I can imagine what my friends feel that have kids and stuff. Like, I can see that. I think that's really dope. I don't care if people think that's gay or not, but I think it's pretty cool. The family unit is something that's very interesting to me. I feel like I've learned throughout my life that family is probably the most important thing. Family is probably the only thing that's really going to hold you down. And I've discovered that throughout life, through a lot of trials and tribulations. And, I'm not the best. I don't claim to be the best, but I try to do better, a little bit better every day. And I think that's all we can do. I think that's all we can really strive for, is to just do a little bit better than we were yesterday. And if you're on your whatever journey you're on, you're trying to get your body right, or you're trying to figure out how to put the pieces back together in your mind, because a lot of us are broken. Doesn't mean you can't do that. It doesn't mean you can't excel and progress and continue to really just find yourself, man. I say this a lot, and I really believe it to be true. But the more you find yourself, the more you're gonna find God. And if you're looking for God, you're only gonna find yourself. So, take that with whatever you want to take that with, a grain of salt, or if it really affects you or not. I hope that you are able to find some type of positive energy if you are able to listen to this, and enjoy life, man. Enjoy life. Enjoy it for what it is. Really, damn. Sometimes it's crazy because I'll be annoyed too, man. I'll be annoyed too. I don't like it when I'm annoyed. I hate that energy. I hate even being annoyed. I'm annoyed of being annoyed. That's just annoying. And I try to be conscious of that and try to think yo, why am I so pissed? Is it because I'm hungry? Is it because I'm just waking up? Is it because I'm annoyed with myself? Is it me projecting? I always think about these things of why do I even get angry? It's okay to be angry. There's a lot of that just means you care. Some people don't see it that way, but that's how I feel. I feel like it's okay if you're angry. If you even feel that type of energy that it spikes up, anger, and even happiness, it spikes up. So those are the same types of feelings. But you have to have a high energy towards something means you care. Might not come out in the right way. Sometimes it might not. It might not even come out in the right tone, or whatever it is. The message might not be just relayed in the most efficient manner or the best manner. But the intention should be there if it really is there. If you really do care, then your anger will be not justified but understood. And that's something that is only real freaking emotionally intelligent people can really understand. I'm not there yet. I hope to be one day. I know who I am. I've really been able to discover myself. I know that my mind is a little different than others. I'm more analytical than emotional. I'm more logical, but my logic might not fit into other people's conventional ways of thinking. And I really don't care to explain myself sometimes, but then I do enjoy the few moments of time where I'm able to discuss how I'm able to why I think the way I think with someone that's actually interested in listening to that. Very few people are like that in the world, but if you do meet people like that, you're blessed in such an incredible way that you'll never even know. And yeah, so we got 50 minutes in almost, and 10 minutes left pretty much I'll do. So we got a full hour of this second Prophetic #2 podcast with Raj Brahmbhatt. And again, y'all, this is only happening every time we complete 100 miles. So the fact that we got a second episode means that we got over 200 miles. Hopefully I can rack up another 100 miles fairly quickly. Again, we're indoors on a treadmill, trying to run 100 miles within 24 hours. Last week, I was able to get 33.55 miles in 8 hours before I gave out. Hopefully my pain tolerance is able to be a lot more stronger this time around. And man, it's been one hell of a journey. It's the season's changing. We're getting ready to the end of the year. 2020 is about to come to an end, and a lot of people are going to be like reflecting, and I hope a lot of people do reflect. My time of reflection usually comes around the end of October. You'll see why for that reason. And we're taking it day by day, and I hope you guys are taking it day by day as well. Enjoying every last bit of life there is, enjoying every last bit of food that you can eat, enjoying whatever it is that you can enjoy in life, man. Enjoy that shit to the fullest. Enjoy the small things, because you really do miss out if you just focus on the bigger picture. I'm not saying don't be focused on the bigger picture. I'm just saying sometimes you need to really be more present. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? So if you're only focused on all the negative stuff that could happen, you're really going to put a detriment on your own psyche, and your stress levels will just, really take a toll on your body. Stress does take a toll on your body. It's something that a lot of people don't really want to talk about, but it has adverse effects to you. It's literally if you think you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick type thing, where if your mental is not clear, your body's going to suffer. And that's why I say start with the body. Start with working out. Start with exercising your body, because I'm telling you, the mind is a much more difficult task. To conquer the mind is even more difficult than to conquer the body. To conquer the body is easy. You have to really have to have a certain attitude. Like, yo, I'm not doing this for me. All right, it's not about you. It's never about you. It's never about you at this time, at least. It's about you 50 years old. It's about the 60-year-old you. You know what I'm saying? All the work you're putting in now is going to be for that motherfucker. It's going to be for 60-year-old Raj so he can still wipe his butt. It's going to, the pull-ups and the running I do now is for 70-year-old Raj so he can still, walk around his own house and not need no help. God willing, I make it that far. But if I do, I want to be prepared for that situation. The work I'm putting in now, the exercise that I do is not like, I really don't even like it. I don't even like exercising, but I'm doing it because it's going to help me out in the future. The same way I don't like brushing. But you got to do it. I don't like eating sometimes, but you got to do it. I for some reason, I don't find as much pleasure in all these things. A lot of other people do, man. I know people that love food. I got friends that love food, and I wish I had that. I wish I had a joy for exercise and shit. I have friends that love this shit, man. They love working out just for no reason. They just love this shit. I don't like none of this. I don't know why. I mean, I do it. I do it. I brush my teeth. I work out. I eat. I do all of that. But there's no joy. There's no joy from it. That's the thing that I battle with. I don't know why. That's just me. It hasn't been like that. It's more of a mission. I have a responsibility. It's a job. I mean, this is literally the job. You guys have your jobs where you work 9 to 5, whatever. And then most people don't like their jobs. For me, this is a job. Exercising is a job. Brushing my teeth is a job. It's a chore. Eating is a chore. Sometimes I'm not even interested in eating, but I have to eat because I know I have to replenish my body. You got to feed it somehow, or else it's going to eat itself. All these things are, boring to me, but I know I have to do it. Hitting these reps and these sets and all this kind of stuff is boring, but you got to do it. You got to if you want to, especially if you're trying to chase an aesthetic that you like. See, I'm not even I don't care about how my body looks. I know that if I put in the work, my body's going to show that. So if you're trying to achieve a certain type of aesthetic, a certain type of build, a certain type of body type, then that should be more motivation for you to do so. For me, I have no motivation like that. I don't care what I look like. It doesn't matter to me. I'm God's creation. I know I'm beautiful the way that God made me. I don't got to change shit. But I can always be better. My whole thing is I want to be the best me. I want to be, God made me, but I want to be the best version of me. And whatever that means is I'm chasing that. I'm chasing the fastest, smartest, cleanest, nicest, most badass version of Raj. And I hope that's not even how, I hope that hasn't happened yet. I hope that I haven't peaked. My whole thing is I want to be the best by the time that I die. That's when I know, like, oh man, I was the best at this point. Whenever that is, I accept it. God is already knows when that is. And I just got to get there. I got to make sure that I show up. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I want. I've seen what it's like to age gracefully, and I've seen what it's like to age like in a punishing manner, where you're just literally dying slowly. I've seen that. I've seen both sides of it, and I'm very blessed to have seen that. And I appreciate the lessons that come out of seeing those type of lifestyles where you're either bedridden or you're able to walk until the last day of your life. And I would preferably like to be able to walk the last day of my life. I would like to be able to do exactly what I'm doing now at 65. And only later on in life do you realize like how much your health really means, so how much it means to you. Because a lot of people are focused on money. A lot of people are focused on security. A lot of people are focused on, attaining wealth and stuff like that. Yeah, go for it, man. Go all out for it. But if you're risking your health to do so, if you're risking your mental peace to do so, I wouldn't take that risk. That's not worth the reward. It's not worth the reward to have everything and then feel like nothing. It's not worth it. It's much better to have nothing and feel like everything. And everything can be different. It could just be a house, kids, no debt. It could be, mansion for some people. Whatever it is, man, there's different levels of contentness. There's different levels to attain for your own happiness. But it should never be compared to someone else's. It should always be compared to yourself. Look at yourself and where you came from, and look at where you are now. Look at yourself. Look at your parents and where they came from, and look at where they are now. Look at where your people have come from, and look at where you are now. Look at the progression it took to get to where you are now, and how far you can take that. Now it's up to you. You can, live up to a portion of your potential, or you can really explore and be curious of how far you can take whatever it is you want out of life, and how far, and see if it's even achievable. Not everyone can be president. Not everyone can make it to the NBA. Not everyone can be a Grammy award-winning artist. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can be a doctor. But it's possible. Anything is possible in this world. And whether it's, system, or just conscious space dust, or, we are God's gift and God is our gift. Whatever it is you believe, man, appreciate this time that you got. It's the only true measure of value. It is the only true measure of value. You got to look at savings as your memory. Your memory is your savings account. That's all it is. That's all it is. And, by the time you get old, you want to cash in those checks. You want to be able to look back and, oh man, look at that time. And some incredible words that I heard recently was from my grandfather. And I asked him, as you've gotten older and stuff, like, what is it that you think about now? What is it that you ponder in your head now, being almost 80 years old and everything like that, or being in his 80s and stuff? And what he told me was, I try not to think at all. And I was like, what? Why would you say that? You don't think about all the good memories you had with your family or your wife or your kids or growing up or your parents and all this. Like, no, he tries to not think at all. And I felt that was so profound, because at first I was confused, but then I understood it more, where now you've gone through all these peaks and valleys in life. You're still here. And now you're at peace with what life you've lived, what life you've been given by God, what life you've been able to achieve, and all the things you've done. You don't even have to think about it anymore, because what's there to think about? This was supposed to be. This was supposed to happen. So we got an hour in. Appreciate y'all if y'all are sticking around, and anyone that wants to listen. Again, if you'd like to donate, we've already raised over $1,000. If you'd like to donate, the description is in the link. We're trying to raise $1 million. This is the 100 Miles for Black Lives Run. This was Prophetic with Raj Brahmbhatt. Appreciate y'all.